Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Lisa, and I'm the intern with the Equity, Inclusion, and Diversity Committee here at Mayo Clinic. For this video, I'm here with George, and he will be answering a few questions about his role and experience at Mayo. So could you please introduce yourself?
Well, good afternoon, Lisa, and to all within the DLMP team. My name is Georg von Bormann. I'm the Associate Administrator for the Department of Laboratory Medicine. And within that, I have the responsibility for, I suppose, the well-being and looking after a team of almost 3,000 people within the Department of Laboratory Medicine and Pathology here at Mayo Clinic.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself. What made you choose Mayo Clinic as an employer?
So, Lisa, I'd have to say that I think choosing Mayo Clinic as an employer is easy, right? The reputation of Mayo Clinic is world renowned. I grew up in Johannesburg, South Africa, and even I knew about the Mayo Clinic before from years ago. So choosing the Mayo Clinic is not the hard part, it's what I think what's more important for me is what made me stay. My wife is also from South Africa, and we came here on a 3-year plan to Rochester, Minnesota. And that was in 2011, and we've been here ever since. And there's more that I'll share, I suppose, as we go through this discussion. But there's no place I've ever been that's quite like Mayo Clinic. I've been fortunate that I've been able to work in the healthcare sector in 4 different countries, in Australia, in South Africa, in the UK, and now the USA as well. And I've never been in an environment quite like Mayo Clinic. Our model of care is unequaled by any other institution globally. And then the people here at Mayo Clinic is our differentiating asset. There is nothing that beats the people here and the teams that we have at Mayo Clinic that work every day with one thing at the center of it all, and that's the needs of our patients. So coming to Mayo Clinic was an easy choice. My wife and I were both, chose to come here from South Africa because we wanted to advance our education and our abilities to, and take those skills home again, we thought. And yet we've stayed here now 12 years in Rochester because of what we get to do every day at the Mayo Clinic.
It's good to hear how Mayo stands apart. What's your favorite part of your job or daily work?
Yeah, so my favorite part of my daily job, I'll tell you now, I open my eyes each morning and I'm actually genuinely excited to get to work. And I think that's kind of step one, is that I just know that I'm going to a good place, I'm going to be surrounded by good people, and every day I get to make a difference. So that's one of my favorite parts of my job. But to sum it up, I think the thing that I take most seriously, but is also the most rewarding, is the sense of responsibility I feel each and every day for our members of our team. I really feel like I have a responsibility to work every day to make DLMP the most welcoming, happiest place at Mayo Clinic to work for all of our team members, and the most rewarding place for them to work, where they all feel welcome and appreciated, and where they can be themselves. And I feel a huge sense of responsibility for that. But when I see it play out and I see what it means when our teams are high functioning and happy and delivering on our promise to our patients, it's incredibly rewarding. So I take that sense of responsibility to our members of our team very seriously, but it's also the most rewarding part of my job.
That's good to hear. What would you like to tell our audience about Mayo Clinic?
Um, I would like to tell our audience that we must never underappreciate or take for granted what it means to be part of a mission-based organization. I've told others before, I've got a friend, he's an investment banker in New York. He makes a ton of money every year, but he is hands down the grumpiest man I've ever met. And he's told me firsthand, he said, every day he wakes up and his job is to make shareholders richer and make other people richer. And he's remunerated financially for it, but I think it crushes him inside. And yet every day we get to come to what is truly a mission-based organization, where every day the work that we do is to improve the care of our patients. No matter what your role is at Mayo Clinic, you get to do that. And I always encourage my team members to not just, think about Mayo's primary value, which is the needs of the patient, but what does that value mean in your role? What can you do in your role for the needs of our patient? And so that's it. I mean, the difference is to be part of a mission-based organization is something you must never take for granted.
So you already touched on this a little bit, but could you elaborate on how the work you do makes a difference for our patients?
So Lisa, well, full disclosure, I don't think the work I do makes any difference for our patients but I like to think, and I'm just teasing, but DLMP, the Department of Laboratory Medicine and Pathology, really is the bedrock of our practice. And Mayo Clinic is the premier diagnostic center in the world. We have incredible testing capabilities within the labs. Combine that with our radiology expertise, and then we've got the third part of the triangle is our amazing clinicians who are face to face with our patients. And when we provide them with that incredible the information that we get from our incredible testing capabilities, share that with the imaging that our radiology colleagues are producing, and then give them all the information they need to those frontline clinicians, we are giving them everything they need to make them understand exactly what they're dealing with when they are dealing with their complex and complex patients and the complex conditions our patients are facing. So what is it that I do for our patients? In my role as the Associate Administrator for the Department of Laboratory Medicine and Pathology, I like to think that I am removing barriers for our incredible scientists, physicians, consultants, technicians, developers, allied health staff, all of those people, removing barriers for them to do what they need to do to help our patients. And so that's really, I think, my role is to make sure the people who want to care for can care for, who can our patients who can create these incredible tests that pick up these at amazing sensitivities, that pick up these rare diseases, getting them empowered to be able to do that. That's really my role, and that's what I can do for our patients.
Can you share a story that demonstrates how Mayo Clinic provides you with a sense of belonging?
Yeah, Lisa, it happened early on in my Mayo career. I was walking through the halls. It was sort of late in the early evening. The halls of Mayo Clinic were emptying out. It was in the clinic, and walking towards me was a father and a young son, and the son you could see had multiple medical and surgical interventions, and wasn't fully ambulatory, and he was next to his dad, young boy. And I remember as I got next to them, I heard I saw the boy look up at his dad, and he said something, and I didn't quite catch it. And then I saw the dad turn down to his son and look down at him, and he said, "I love you too, my boy. You're the best part of my day." And I mean, it killed me right as I got past. But what I realized was this was a young father with a young child. And this wasn't their first stop along their medical journey. You could see that the child had multiple medical issues, but that they were here at Mayo Clinic. And for the first time in probably many years of this medical journey that they were on, they really had hope, and they were receiving the healing and the care. And that doesn't happen by mistake. That happens because they're surrounded by this great care team that we've developed here at Mayo Clinic. And that care team comes from diverse backgrounds and experiences. And we don't treat the person as one disease type or one entity. We treat them holistically, and we bring that whole Mayo team around them. And I just always thought about that. It was just, as a young father myself, that ability to provide something for your child and to provide hope for them and to provide relief from their pain or discomfort, things like that, that doesn't happen by accident. And that we do that because we have these incredible teams at Mayo Clinic that come from these diverse backgrounds and bring everything together to help our patients. So that's really, that made me feel great. And we treat patients, we've got millionaires who fly from around the world to come here, but we also treat our local community, and we look after everyone is welcome at Mayo Clinic. And when they can't afford to pay, we find ways for them to pay, or to write off that debt. So it's a great and special place to be. And it's that's I think Mayo does a good job of trying to welcome all into our doors to provide them with that hope that we all deserve, right, in our time of need.
That's a very touching story. Compared to other jobs you've had, how does Mayo Clinic compare?
Well, I hope from my excitement when answering these questions, it comes through very clearly that, nothing compares. And again, we had only planned to stay here 3 years, and we've stayed 12, and we have no plan of going anywhere else. Because we really are, we Mayo Clinic are an incredible institution. We're a national treasure in the United States, and globally, we are held up as the gold standard in healthcare. And we should continue to, and to be restlessly satisfied with that. In other words, always looking to be more and wanting to be more than just the status quo. So, um, it gives me great pride to work for Mayo Clinic. It gives me great pride when I'm asked, out in public where I work and what I do, and I get to talk about Mayo Clinic, because of who we are and our reputation. But in terms of Mayo Clinic on the inside, how it compares, it's head and shoulders above any other organization I've ever been at, in terms of how it looks after its people, in terms of how it stays true to its mission and its values, and then in terms of the successful outcomes it has for its patients. So it's the full package. And as I said, I'm very proud to be part of the Mayo Clinic team.
For the last question, what do you see as your future at Mayo Clinic?
Oh, um, so I would say that, we're a Mayo Clinic family. My spouse and my spouse also works at Mayo Clinic. We both love what we get to do every day. And so we don't see ourselves going anywhere. It goes back all the way to your first question, Lisa, about, what made us choose Mayo Clinic. We grew up in Johannesburg, South Africa. We did all of our original training there and our postgraduate training there. And then we came here for some additional education and then always planned to go home. And when you come from a city of almost 8 million people and you come to a city of 120,000 people, it's kind of different. And, when you've never shoveled snow ever in your life and now you do it 6 months of the year, there's a lot of things that don't look like home here. And the draw of home is very strong. And, and every time I go home and when I come back here, I'm always very homesick. But we chose to stay because of Mayo Clinic, and I don't see myself going anywhere else. This is where I want to be. This is where I think I really can make a true difference through the work that I get to do every day with incredible people. And I hope I get to do that for as long as possible.
Yeah, your enthusiasm really shines through. Thank you so much for participating. That was our final question.
Lisa, thanks so much. That was great.